I think the thing is you were lucky that we took you under our wing, really.
It put me off a bit, to be fair, but then when I was standing normally, I still won, and he was proper, like, aggy about it.
Oh, friend!
You almost talk like a ventriloquist dummy. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, he's really quiet and really, like, you know, he doesn't really...
The thing is, say if you go to the football and one team scores, only half the people there cheer. If you're at the darts and someone that's in on darter, everyone's up.
And we were just winding Marc up like mad. Because every day, be like, where are my darts? Welcome to the 3 in a Bed podcast. I'm Clash of the Tungsten, and joining me today is Marc from Love Darts and Zach from Thornton Darts.
Hello.
How are we doing today, boys?
It's Sunday, I'm in my dressing gown, just chilling out.
It's nice that you actually made an effort, Zach. I mean, we said we were going to do a podcast together, and you've made a lot of effort there. I know when we said we're going to call it 3 in a Bed, I didn't exactly mean, you know, to dress for
I've just
bed,
got out of bed.
His effort was taking his hood off.
At least it's something. What about you, Marc? What have you been up to?
I have been struggling to do any editing and video stuff today. This weekend, which I planned to do because my niece was over, so she was screaming the house down, which is, as you boys can imagine, an absolute nightmare for editing. So I've been watching the darts and throwing darts, and maybe a bit of COD with you boys.
Well, I haven't been on this weekend, have I?
No, you haven't.
We did all right last night, to be fair.
Well, it's because I weren't in with you, that's why. Obviously.
Yeah, I think we won about 6.
Oh yeah, not surprised.
No, we didn't really.
I bet Thornton carried you though, didn't he, Marc?
Yeah, well, my body's just there for him to pick up all the all the weapons and armor plates afterwards.
I'll just use him as bait.
So when I said that you guys were joining me, this is like going to be a regular thing, isn't it? It's not exactly mine. What we're going to do, we're actually going to share this podcast on each other's channels from episode to episode. So obviously 1 week it'll be on mine, next week it'll be on Marc's, and then the other week it'll be on Zach's, and then that way we can sort of spread it out between each other, which would be quite cool, I reckon.
Yeah. We're just looking to have a bit of fun, aren't we, boys?
That's what it is. I find like when doing YouTube, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I know you, Marc, you've obviously done a bit of like acting, but if you're not necessarily gifted at sort of bringing yourself across on camera, then it's hard to sort of show what you're like as a person through like being online. And I know that's quite, you know, it's quite difficult to do, isn't it? I don't know if you feel the same as that, because obviously you're not.
I think the way that I like to do it, I don't know, I'm pretty good at, I think I'm good at like publicly speaking and that, but I think as soon as you try and think about the camera, you then not yourself. If you just, I don't know, as soon as you start thinking it's for YouTube, you think in a different mindset. The way I think of it is, for example, Devon Peterson, I think he's a great player, but when he was commentating, he wasn't natural. He was saying commentator things. And I think as he started to commentate, he's gotten better. But when he first started, he was thinking he had to be a commentator rather than thinking, I'm Devon Peterson, I know a lot about darts.
I think one of the things as well, though, is that a lot of people see us, you know, and what we put out as a finished product on either social media or through the YouTube, which is primarily, I guess, our main thing. You know, Zach, for example, all of his designs and things are there, but it's when it comes to streaming, which we all have, like, you know, we've got a little bit of extra sort of experience in, but people, you know, you're there to sort of talk about the darts and things. We thought, well, we want to talk about darts. We want to sort of get you guys to know us a little bit more, and we all have fun together, which was really where this all came from. For those who don't know, we all you know, we all do our YouTube channels, but we all went, hey, let's play a bit of Call of Duty in the evening and have a laugh. And it was through having good fun playing that we all went, actually, we enjoyed chatting together. We talked some funny stuff about darts, and there's lots of things that happen in the back end that maybe people want to hear about. If not, we're just recording this for ourselves, you know?
No, I agree with you as well. And the thing is, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I don't have a lot of dart friends, if I'm honest. Like the people that I play darts with, I know it's pretty sad for me. I mean, get the violin out, but joking aside, like the guys that I play darts with are not my age. Like there's a guy that's sort of 3 years older than me, so he's like 30. Mate, he might be younger actually, and he might kick my head in for saying that. Ah, shit, but whatever. But the rest of them are all like 40 and 50, and we've even got like a 60-year-old. So it's like they just play. They're not actually interested. Like with you guys, obviously, you talk a lot about darts, as in the darts and, you know, stats and all this sort of thing. And the guys that I play, they just go for basically a piss up.
They got the brass darts that they bought from 1960 from the butchers or something like that.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay.
And it's really nice to like surround and get to know people that have obviously a mutual interest, like we all do, you know, it's really good. And what I find with our channels, they do vary and they are different. Like with you, Marc, you like doing your visual effects sort of thing. Zach, your outlook on your channel is completely different to anyone else because you're doing first-hand design stuff, you know, so it's completely different.
It's very unique for Zach's. How many designers actually throw their stuff out, you know, for people to see on social media, talk about it, and are as present on the social media sort of platform. It's really great fun to see, and especially I've really loved your mashups as well when you take two people's darts. That's great fun, and a lot of people I think have enjoyed seeing that series and going, you know, this guy's a talented guy and he's sharing all of these ideas, maybe sharing too much, maybe this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say to me like, oh, why don't you get picked up by Target or Winmore or whoever? But the joy of me being freelance and working for lots of different people is I don't have to hide anything. I don't have to be secretive in what I do because I am everyone's designer in theory. I don't have to limit myself to one. And I think the people that are in the industry and are working for Target and Winmore and that are stuck doing what they do as their job, whereas I get to do it at home. I get to be free with it. I'm sort of my own boss. Obviously, I've got direction from people I work with, but I can just present what I like, really.
Except for giving people the secret to my darts, because obviously the special magnets that make them go to the 180 section we can't tell them about.
Talking crap again, isn't he? Talking absolute bollocks. No, but
are we doing product placement in this episode? I'll just hold some here.
Probably not.
We'll Photoshop it in, mate.
No, the beautiful thing as well, like with what you do, Zach, I didn't even know that it was even a thing. You know, like darts is like, I know obviously there's someone that does design darts, but I didn't realise like the intricate details and stuff that
I think,
you have to go into.
Everyone sees it as a barrel with some cuts in it and 2 holes. But obviously I've come from an engineering background, so I get some of it anyway. I mean, I don't know if everyone knows, but I started off as a machinist. I used to work in a factory over the summer and I was on mills and lathes, and then when I went to college, I learned machining again, CAD drawing. Then I got an apprenticeship at Jaguar Land Rover, relearned all the machining again, learned CAD, got trained up fully. And then obviously I picked up a love for darts, and then I'm there. Like it just went hand in hand, whereas it doesn't always happen that way. The advantage of me is, what I've been told, is that it's very easy to find a designer, but it's very hard to find a designer that also knows darts, because darts is quite niche when you think about it. If you work in an office, and you talk about the darts, 99% of people would not know what you're on about. They'll say something cliche like, who's that bloke that wears the greens, is bald? Phil Taylor? And you're like, no, that's Van Gogh. And you're like, nah, don't worry, I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
It is a very niche subject, but looking at how like our channels have grown in such a short amount of time as well, it is a niche, but you can definitely tell that people have an interest in it, and like there is a community out there. And I know I've said it quite a few times before, but like the amount of people that get involved on socials and Twitter that are just there, like they just message you out the blue and just have a chat. It's just such a nice little darting community that we're all lucky enough to be a part of, you know. And I don't know, for me, it was a bit different because I joined a little bit later than people. So I found it a bit hard, like, to think, well, are these guys that have been doing it a little while going to, you know, not accept me, like it's into it? But I don't know if you get what I mean. Like, I was a bit not nervous.
I think the thing is, you were lucky that we took you under our wing, really. No, to be fair though, I know you joined late, but I wasn't that much sooner on the scene.
No.
And I've always believed that with, you know, when you go to darts, it is the best atmosphere out of any. I mean, I went to America in March and watched the ice hockey, and that was amazing. But it was very much still a them and us. Whereas at the darts, I don't think you get that at all. The most them and us you get is the tables versus the stands, and that is just friendly banter. And it's kind of like laugh. And I think because it's such a good laugh, there's just. The community is really good. There's just not as much hate, and you know, you still get people that will support certain people and decide, well, I'm bored, I'm on the internet, I'm going to send some hate some way. But I mean, on the whole, we actually have amazing following, amazing fans, amazing people who watch and support what we do, and it's lovely to be part of such a great community, and I feel very very lucky, I think, to be part of it.
Yeah, I will touch on that quickly, to be fair, because like, I don't know what your guys' opinion is of the audience, but I see so much stuff on Twitter where people moan about the audience, and I've got a really, I don't know, I wouldn't even say I'm alone on this, but I feel that, I get that it's a professional sport, but Barry Hearn has built the PDC on being sort of like a party atmosphere. He has, like, that's what the sort of darting culture's like when you go to an event. That's how it is. And there's a lot of people that I do see that moan and say, oh, the lager louts are just going for the drinking. But that is why, you know, I don't think if that culture was there, you know, with a lot of drinking and shouting, I don't think it would appeal to as many people, because let's face it, darts isn't the most action-based sport on the planet. No, but I think hand in hand with what Barry Hearn's done for the PDC, it just works, and it's something that's sort of universally enjoyed by everyone. Like, for example, at the Masters, I took my other half that's not got a massive interest in darts, and she loved it. Like, she loved it. Yeah. She's not even got a massive interest in darts, but the fact that the atmosphere's there, you know, there's nothing better than watching a 170 go in live, or I've never seen a 9-darter. Touch wood, hopefully one day I do, in person. But I've seen a 170 go in, and then the little hairs on the back of your neck when you're there, it's such a weird feeling. And you're literally watching a bloke throw darts from 7'9¼ away at a board. Yeah. It blows my mind.
Going to the darts is kind of like going to a New Year's party. It doesn't matter whether you know anyone there or not. People are going to jump up and hug you and want to drink and have a good time. It's just a real celebration of going, yeah, okay, we all exist. We're all enjoying this moment together, and long may it continue. It is fantastic.
Yeah. The thing is, say if you go to the football and one team scores, only half the people there cheer. If you're at the darts and someone that's a 9-darter, everyone's up. Everyone loves to see that. There's no divide. I love Gary Anderson. If he loses, you know, I'm a bit like, but then you've got another player that you potentially like, or you like to see do well. It's not, you know, Arsenal are out the FA Cup, I'm going to stop watching it. It's, right, these are a lot of good players. I just like darts. Let's go to the next. Let's, you know, cheer on one of the underdogs. Or,
that's what I mean. Like that. It's almost a bit like turncoating, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, You could be, well, for example, when Phil Taylor was, you know, playing, everyone would be going, there's only one Phil Taylor. And if he was playing Peter Wright, in the next breath, people would be shouting, Peter Wright. You know what I mean? Like, but I love that.
It was funny because at the Premier League, we were all cheering, you know, there's only one Phil Taylor, and giving it all. He was playing against Peter Wright, and then Peter Wright won, and he then played against Van Gogh, and all of the fans of Taylor then started supporting Wright, and Wright's gone over like going, yeah, you know, now you're, you know, you were giving me all of this and now you're supporting me, sort of thing. It's like, you know, people do, they chop and change, they move. It's you know, just throw your darts and have fun.
I like that. That's what I do like about darts.
It was so funny though, because I was one of those people. I was supporting Phil Taylor in the match against Peter Wright, but then I supported Peter Wright against MVG. So, but there you go.
And I think, like, with the names and stuff, you know, with Gerwin being the Iceman, you know, I think that adds to it all as well. Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys were into WWE when you were younger, but it's almost like that heel and face sort of, you know, with Gerwin being like a heel, you know, being like a baddie, if you like. It just adds even more to that, which I don't know about you guys. I totally love it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it was established before Barry Hearn got his hands on it with that sort of intros and stuff like that, I think. But it's grown into even more of that kind of spectacle, and we love it. You know, I love the intros. I love people coming on with a bit. You know, you got Muffin Man, you've got the Ted Hankey Count, you've got you know, Ricky Evans going on and putting on the mask from the Goonies, and Vandenberg doing his dancing, Peter Wright being a spectacle. You know, it's great entertainment. And that's why it's so accessible for everyone.
The blokes at the pub that you talk about, Ross, are the ones that are like, oh no, he's an idiot, he puts what's he got pink on his hair for. You still get the old hardcore boys that are like, what's he got those trousers on for? This isn't what darts should be. But when you watch on the telly, Peter Wright, you love to watch him, because I was nearly crying when he dressed up as the Grinch.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
What is
the
this
thing is, it got people
doing?
talking
Also,
straight away.
yeah.
People on Twitter. That's why he does it. You know, any publicity is publicity. It's as simple as that. If you've ever seen an interview with Peter Wright, he almost talks like a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, he's so quiet.
I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, he's really quiet and really, like, you know, he doesn't really, you know, because he's not confident. And then sort of when he puts on all the gear, you know what I mean? When he sprays his hair and everything, he becomes this different person, and it's cool. I love it. I honestly think that is great.
It will probably move us into a nice new segment of what I know you want to talk about as well from yesterday. But you got then your old boys sort of, you know, we had Gary Anderson recently saying, well, you know, the game should be, you know, he throws 100, I throw 140, he throws 140, I throw 180, and you know, I think, as much as I love Gary, I think it's a little bit naive to think like that, because I've said it before, in pub darts, you know, you will get people, if they realise that slowing down their game will affect you, they'll do it. If they cough and things, you know, and no one picks up on it, they'll do it, and that stuff exists. I know at the professional level, maybe there needs to be a little bit of monitoring. For example, if Sulovic was to sit there smoking on a pipe while he's waiting, you know, before he then picks up his darts and takes 5 minutes to get to the board, that's taking the mick. But then, you know, so there might be a little bit of policing in that, and that's the old school sort of approach. And then we've got Merv King. And I'm going to pause here and allow someone else to give their opinion, because someone's been very vocal about it recently.
Well, I did do a video on it because it's current affairs, and I thought I just want to see what people think about it. If I'm honest, like, I don't hate Mervyn King at all. Like, you know, his ability as a dart player, he is fantastic. You cannot take that away from him. More so recently as well. I don't know whether that's anything to do with, like, the lack of audience, or, you know, I don't know what's changed him, but he just seems to have turned it up a notch recently, you know, with his playing, and, you know, fair play to him. But I don't get the moaning, man.
The thing is, well, I tweeted about it, and I talk about Pythagoras' theorem and all that. I've had a similar issue down the pub once, right? The rules in our league are you have to have an ocky to lean against, right? And we had a darts mat, and there's that is your foot supposed to go, you know, where the line ends, or where the white bit starts? And then I'm throwing, and then 2 throws in, I think I've hit like a ton and a 85 or something. He's going to me.
Don't lie.
You're over the no, honestly, it was, and it goes.
Are you dreaming again?
The line, mate. You're over that. This is when I was good. And he's like, "You're over the line, mate." I'm like, "Am I? Where's the ocky bit? What are you supposed to do?" He was like, "This." I was like, "Okay." And then I'm then finding myself looking down, making sure I'm not upsetting this bloke, and it put me off a bit, to be fair. But then when I was standing normally, I still won, and he was proper like aggy about it. But in all honesty, like, it would have been at least like a baby toe length.
There's that question, isn't there, Zach? Would he have been moaning if you'd have hit 26s and 45s? Do you know what I mean? This is the thing with Merv King. You know, if he would have missed that double, if Rob Cross would have obviously missed that double, would he have moaned? You know, there is that about it. And I don't know, like I say,
I said that there's probably, the debate isn't whether Rob broke the rules or not, because if he was ahead, the rules say you should be in line. But the first thing that comes to mind is what is there in place to make sure that player's always on the line? Because he's probably looking down thinking, yeah, I'm in line here. But
unless he gets his protractor out and
yeah, like,
and also Rob Cross doesn't strike me as the type, in all honesty, to really, like, you know, He was so apologetic when he's done things wrong before. Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. You know, there was that whole situation, and I've met him. Just from meeting him, he's going to be obviously nice and have his public face on, but he just doesn't strike me as the type of person who would go, right, I'm going to step across the line and do that.
Yeah, the advantage is very small. That was my argument. Like, if some bloke stood 3 foot nearly, I don't know what the distance was, 3 foot out of his normal throwing position. Let's say he was a toe or 2 toes in front of the line. He's barely got any advantage. Rules are rules. That's not what I'm debating. But if you're looking behind, if it's me, if I'm Mervyn King, and he's gone that far out and he's still got it. I'm going, bloody hell. I wouldn't even think about looking where his foot is because he's just putting an absolute belter of a shot. Fair play to the guy, clap him off. What was Merv? Like 9-3 up or something silly? Like, I can't remember.
I probably wouldn't even called him up on it, if I'm honest. I would have just thought, okay, fair enough, But
rules are rules as well.
Yeah, rules are rules, totally. I totally understand that rules are rules. But like I say, would he have done that if he missed a double 16? Probably not. Probably not. But, it's over now. He won, and he won very well. He played fantastic. Well. He was class. I know Rob Cross hasn't been on top of his game much, for the past, since he won the match play, really, was it? He hasn't really done a hell of a lot since,
And his throw actually isn't too bad, so it's a little bit more surprising, the dip, as opposed to the Asp, who has such a sort of lean and things. And I feel that when he, I'm not trying to take away from him. I think he's a great player, but there is fault in his technique with that lean, that maybe with the adrenaline he's able, that sort of, when you've got a lot of adrenaline, sometimes it hones in and allows you to find that sweet spot, So with the audience and everything there, maybe that's why he really, really picked up last year and did well, and why he's maybe not quite found it as much now, because he doesn't have that kind of adrenaline running through him and helping him sort of pick up that sweet spot. He needs to work on his technique a little bit more, I think. That there's me criticising as an amateur player. And you can see the players who have great technique. It's the simplicity of simply being able to have a good stance that keeps you nice and solid. The pullback, the extension, and you can see the pros when they're, nearly all of them have that full extension. And with this sort of leaning forwards and backwards, you're constantly creating another variable to contend with.
Yeah, and Asp is very prominent, isn't it? Like, it's something that you can't not see. It's very. There's definitely like a huge jerk there, isn't there? Really.
Yeah, I mean, Henderson's another one that you can see. He has a real sort of forward motion and stuff.
But his is more rhythmic, isn't it? Like,
it is. Yeah.
If you watch Henderson play, you can see sort of when he's going to let go of the dart, and it almost sort of makes sense. I don't know if you guys know what I mean. Like, as he does rock, it's there.
But then one day, if he's excited, maybe his rock's slightly faster or slightly longer. It's another variable. So the best throws are the throws that you look at where you can see that their whole body is nice and still. It's only their arm moving, and it's the aim, the pullback, and the extension, and it works so beautifully. And you see it, and you just sit there going, it looks so easy.
But what about Chizzy? Chizzy's...
Yeah.
Chizzy, well, this is what it is. Sometimes those things that they're overcompensating for are the things that make them good. I think if they stop that, they wouldn't be the players they were, because it's become their routine. Like I think Asp's slightly different because his tends to be inconsistent. It's not something that you say, that's part of his throw. It almost looks, at times Asp looks dark-eyed to see it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I agree with that.
Because he goes to throw and he's sometimes jerked too early and he's like, right, got to reset up. And it's hard to watch.
I agree that if he was to stop it, he wouldn't be the player that he is now. But that doesn't take away from the fact, if you went back to the beginning before when he first started and taught him the basics, he would learn that way, because you can learn a bad technique and get used to it and still be good. But to make it easy for yourself, if you've only just started darts, get the basics right from the start and your life is just going to be a lot easier.
I agree. And I think, like, when we were talking about Rob Cross and Merv King, like, Rob Cross's technique, there's something about it, isn't there? I don't know what you guys think, but just I really like his technique. I think it's a really nice, simple throw that works. Obviously,
his snap looks so flashy. As a former world
champion, it does.
It looks silky at the Worlds. When he won the Worlds, it was so smooth. Now it looks a little bit more jerky. It looks a little bit forced at times. His timing must be so hard to get right, but it was just, everything was there at the Worlds, and it was like, wow. It was so nice to watch. I literally went, because of Rob Cross, I started going for double 18s, and it's now my favourite double, purely based on watching Rob Cross, because I was like, well, I'm going to have a go at that. And I was like, yeah, you know what, that's a nice double. That's my favourite double now.
He's good on it as well. And it's a shame that he's lost form. I mean, it is, but another player that's lost form, Michael Smith. What's going on there? He is really struggling. And again, like Michael Smith, as someone I really like as a dude, he's pretty grounded as well, humble. But I don't know what's going on with him.
I think that he is one of the most gifted players. I mean, to be honest, against Adrian Lewis was just like, I'm not bothered. He looked good. Mark Smith didn't really do much wrong against Adrian Lewis, other than maybe just a bit of scoring. He had to take out those 170s, the 132, the what was the other 150 as well. They had to go because Adrian Lewis was pretty far ahead, I think, in those legs. I think the issue with Michael Smith is that he takes it very personally. A loss, I think he sees as a dent rather than a chance to improve on something. I think he takes a dent and then it's there and he's thinking about it for a while until that dent's gone. He struggles to get rid of it. Whereas players like Van Gerwen takes a loss and he's like, well, yeah, I know what I need to do next time. I'm going to work on it. Whereas I feel like Michael Smith in his head's going, can't believe it. For probably a good while after he's lost.
There's definitely, for me, there's two elements to Michael Smith that would help his success, I think. His throw is by far one of the most naturally and beautiful, relaxed throws. However, that doesn't mean it's perfect. I do think that if he had a slight more that finish extension, because it just needs to be like throw it. If he had a little bit more definite sort of thing for each dart, he looks like he can't be bothered to be there. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm up here, just there you go. And it's easy, and and people see it and think it's frustrating. But so there's that element, which I think if he just sharpened up that a little bit, that would just tighten up a little bit more of his technique element. And the second bit is, and I don't want this to sound bad, if he does watch this, I think he'll probably understand, hopefully, what I mean by it. But he needs to be stronger mentally. And
he says that himself.
I don't mean to say that he is mentally weak and he's just a weak person. That's not what I'm saying at all. He needs to have that strength going forwards. And like you say, Zach, he takes that personally. It's a dent. But working with someone to have that confidence in your own ability, that if I'm not winning, I'm learning attitude. I know Matt talks about it. Matt Edgar talks about it a lot on his channel. He needs that, and he needs to. He can't fake it. He has to find it.
Don't give Edgar a free plug. He's doing all right for himself.
Yeah, let's cut that. Cut that. But yeah, he. You can't fake it. You can't go to this and go, I'm going to learn it, and I'm spieling, I'm talking about what someone else has told me. He has to feel it in himself. Self-confidence is important.
The game that said to me that Michael Smith was struggling was against Glenn Durrant in the Premier League, and you saw him on camera go, how is this guy beating me?
Yeah,
that's the wrong thing to say in the head. Obviously, you can't control what you think, but it should be, right, what do I do to beat this guy? Not, how is this guy beating me?
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, but you hear it all the time from commentators, but you literally need to play the board. And I feel that Michael Smith's probably got it in his head that he's more bothered about beating the player. I know obviously that's the idea of the game, but I think if he took it a step back and actually thought about it that way, rather than, right, I've got to out-throw him every time. If he just chills, goes back and just actually plays the board.
I disagree with that. I disagree with playing the board 100%. I think a lot of people say don't even look at what they're throwing, but I think darts is all about reactions. I think there's so many players out there that don't play the board and are successful because of that. Gary's one of them. If someone hits a ton 40, he's looking to hit a 180.
Yeah.
If someone hits a ton, like he said, that's what darts is about. You match the other player. Playing the board takes you're almost saying to yourself, don't learn to deal with pressure. Don't feel the pressure of the other player, which is what darts should be about. You should feel the pressure and take those chances. So I'm actually someone that disagrees with play the board, but I think play the board works in a sense of don't get nervous because you're playing a player. If you're the world number 32 and you're playing the world number 1, you probably don't want to think you're playing the world number 1. You want to think, I'm just playing darts. Whereas that sense, I think it works. But in a normal sense, I think you should play the player and react to what they're doing, but not put pressure on yourself to react. It's very complex. And
I think that's
there are lots of elements, aren't there? It's not simple.
I think he puts too much pressure on himself. And I think if he did just take that step back a little bit, then he could work on that after. I think a lot of it with darts, you've said this before, Marc, is going back to the fundamentals. And I think that's probably one side of his game that he really does need to look at. But who knows? Hopefully he does recoup some form. But I think that match that he lost in the World Championship, what was his name? Jason Lowe he played. Was it Jason Lowe?
I believe so. Jason Lowe played. Yeah, I think it was Jason Lowe. Yeah.
I think that might have been a bit of a straw that broke the camel's back, because he was struggling there. You could tell by his how he was vocally that there was something not quite right with him. And I don't know whether losing to someone who's low on the order of merit, maybe
I kind of feel like if those two merged together, there'd be a hell of a player, because Jason Lowe doesn't look like anything bothers him. Like Jason Lowe could hit a 9 dart and just go, oh, cool. And then it's back to the next throw. If he misses a double, he might pull a little bit of a face, but you can't really tell what he's doing. Whereas Michael Smith, you can probably hear him, see his body language. As a player, Matt Edgar says this to me all the time, the reason he hates online darts is because he struggles to see body language. You can't see what they're feeling. When you see that in a match, you want to pounce on it. You want to be a snake in the grass. As soon as they go, oh, I can't believe it, you're going, right, this is where I kill him mentally and he doesn't feel like he can win the game. That's what you want to do.
I think the thing is also, you can see it's really evident when Michael Smith's throwing well. I feel like he throws them that little bit harder. It's just that more confident, more definite. But you can see in his face, he's like, yeah, come on, I'm doing it now. And he's almost geeing himself up. But because of the fact that he has these demons in the back, as soon as he misses something, then instead of it affecting him just a little bit and, pick up, he does have a drop, and it's so evident. And he just needs that strength. And he needs to work with someone, I think, just to try and change his mindset a bit. I spoke a while back about mental health during lockdown and all of these things. There's nothing wrong at all in asking for help where you need it. The strongest people in the world will work on their strengths and make those stronger, and they'll look at their weaknesses and look to make them not weaknesses anymore. That's what he needs to do. And I wish him all the best doing it, because I like seeing when he's throwing well. It's so nice to see. It
is, and I think, is he seeing a sports psychologist at the moment? A psychiatrist?
People think that he is, but there's lots of stuff in the background that you don't know about. So
you don't know. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to speculate, but I think by seeing someone like that will definitely help him. I
thought that happened when he won his event, that he'd been seeing someone, because he came back really, he looked like he'd changed, but I think he's had a dip, so I don't know whether he fired them or not, but get him back on board, or whatever you were doing, keep doing it.
Right, I'm going to move on to another segment now, boys. We've spoken about the pros. Is there anything that you guys have been working on in particular this week with your darts? Personally, myself, I've not really thrown a dart this week, and I did play in my GDL league, and thank God I actually won it. Not the league, just one game. Woohoo, yeah, first game in GDL. I was going to quit it because I just thought, what's the point in paying £6 a month to lose every week? But
weak mentally. Go and see someone.
Yeah, that's it. I need to go get, that's me, saying, Marcus Winners do this. I need to go sort myself out before worrying about others. But no, is there anything like in particular you guys have been working on, like in your practice? Is there any new routines or anything? Like I say, this week I've not really done much of that, but I've actually had like a little itinerary sort of sent to me by a chap who's a subscriber called Shane Weeks. Appreciate that, mate.
Yeah, I know Shane.
He sent me a little practice plan, which I'm actually going to try from Monday and just see how I get on. Ooh, my GDL game, I think I averaged something like 54, I think, so it's nothing spectacular at all. But I just wondered if there's anything that you guys are particularly focusing on in your game, or any sort of practice routines that you can, obviously the guys listening to this can sort of take on board.
In terms of my darts, one of my biggest problems, I've got two main issues with my throw. One of them is my elbow is so bad at dropping. Like, I lose so much power in my throw because my elbow drops, and I really struggle. So what I've been doing, I've got a portable dart stand, right? And what I've been doing is putting that at elbow level and just getting used to following through up.
That's a good idea.
Just trying not to. I don't want to rely on having something there as a reason not to drop. So I'm just keeping it up above. And if I feel it touch it, I heard, because I've researched this a lot, apparently archers, to stop their bow from dropping, they used to put arrows underneath their elbow. So obviously they get stabbed if they drop their elbow. Yeah, honestly, I read about it.
Giant dart.
Yeah.
Like every time you drop your elbow, you stab yourself.
There is a guy who does giant darts. We could try and maybe make them into stands, and it
yeah, and that was my sort of mentality of it. I'm just trying to get used to following, because it's such a weird feeling when you've thrown like that for a while.
But that's what I've talked about. You can get used to a bad technique, and I'm not being. I'm trying. I hope I'm not being rude in saying it's a bad technique.
No.
It's not standard and not easy, because you've got another variable. The same as Glenn Durham does his aim, and then brings the whole thing down and goes. He's got used to it to a really good level. So
Well, to be fair, I feel like that's a separate part. I feel like Glenn's dropping is a setup, and then that's his throw that bit after. Whereas mine is I'm throwing and then I've dropped and I've pinged it, and that's probably been my main thing really. But I saw something interesting from Steve Brown, JDC. They had a little, I think it was a Chinese lad, and he was playing for 3 months, practicing approaching the oki and throwing without even throwing a dart for 3 months.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is insane, just so he could get his technique right before he even picked up a dart. And I was like, wow, that could be the future of darts, as in, before you've even thrown a dart, get the technique right.
Wayne Mardle was against it. Did you see Wayne Mardle's comment?
What was that?
He said, "Doesn't look like fun to me."
Yeah, I agree. But, I mean, we know that in some cultures, it's not about fun. It's about getting results.
Yeah. And that's exactly it, isn't it?
And, that should be about fun. But, I think with some academies and stuff, academies have to produce results. Mm-hmm. There's going to be elements of darts where you're going to have to put the slog in, and maybe it's not as fun. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you want to make your practice runs as fun as possible, but I'm not saying it can't always be fun, but sometimes when you're working on something that you're rubbish at, it's hard. Yeah. It isn't fun because you're not missing, but over time it will become fun.
I think if you're turning up to an academy, though, and throwing for 3 months without throwing a dart, that's maybe to the extreme levels. And like you say, from a cultural point of view, there are countries out there that will do that and they'll get great success and things out of it. But, trying to find, we are playing a game. To some people it won't be a game. To some people it's a profession, it's a living, etc. But maybe doing that as an exercise within what you're doing and still allowing the kids to have fun, because there's I'll segue off very slightly. There's a film I think called Innocent Minds that's on Netflix at the moment, which is it's been renamed from the film Finding Bobby or Searching for Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer was a professional chess player. Now, this young boy is incredibly good at chess, and his dad realises that and really, really pushes him. And this is a spoiler if you're going to watch it, but I don't care. I'm giving you a good example, and it's a good film to watch.
I love how you're giving Netflix a free plug as well. That's Ed going on Netflix now. Is there anyone else?
Trying to get the we get the sponsorship of Buxing Boys. We'll be picked up by the end of the show. But no, seriously. He pushes his kid so much so that his kid feels like to lose is the end of the world, and he doesn't enjoy what he's doing anymore. And his father finds the balance and goes, "Look, go out there to win for you. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose." And it's that kind of element in a child that can be so damaging to you as a person as well. So I can understand Wayne's side to it, and I can also understand the benefits and the high performance results that you get out of doing things like that. So you've got to have that kind of balance. But I completely agree that actually having the practice of technique, of throwing something without it being there, I do that sometimes just to make sure that I've got my arm in and I'm actually fully extending. Otherwise I do this. And then the rest of it, it's like I've let go and I've left my hand there and go, oh, I've got to finish it. So there are definitely benefits to it.
What about you, Marc, then? What have you been doing? Have you been using any practice routines or anything? Or is there anything like with your throw that you've been focusing on?
To be fair, this week, I got my custom darts that Zach and I looked at and designed. And
did you?
Yeah, I hardly mentioned that at all. If you go on social media, there might be a couple of bits on it if you look in the background, but I've been very discreet.
We had a good laugh about this, didn't we, Matt? Like, especially with Call of Duty, because obviously they took some time to do, which is understandable, seeing the design of them. I didn't realise the detail that went into them was so intricate, and everything that's gone on with that getting it from where it was to a complete finished product has taken a bit of time, and you were itching as soon as they come into the UK. You were itching in to get them, weren't you? I jokingly said to Zach like that he should send them by Hermes on a 5 to 7 day parcel just to make it, even longer.
Just to make it that they never turn up.
Right, because you were every bit of background for the guys like listening or watching. We were like playing on Warzone and we were just winding Marc up like mad. Because every day, be like, where my darts? And we just winded you up, weren't we, Marc? But you were like a kid in a sweet shop when they turned up, weren't you?
Yeah,
when the old Royal Mail bloke come and knocked on the old door, you couldn't believe your luck, could you?
Honestly, it's such a weird thing, and no one will get as much. It'll make sense. No one will get as much enjoyment about the custom darts as the person who's receiving those custom darts, and it could have gone very, very wrong. I've put quite a reasonable amount of money into it. It's been a lot of time, and if it had have come out wrong, there's no fault of Zach's. We've designed exactly what we wanted to do, and they're made. But they came. I think the thing is, because I had a very, very clear idea about what I wanted and what works for me, that helps Zach to put those features and those things together. And I was a tiny bit fussy in a few bits from an aesthetic point of view, which Zach just sorts out simply. But I felt like I was constantly pestering. But to get the finished product, and then when it turned up, I was like, wow. And no one will get as much enjoyment as that person.
They were very unique.
They are, and they've got so many elements and cuts and things in them that make them really, really a good grippy dart. Very the balance. I mean, this is one thing that Zach will hopefully be able to give a little bit of light on, but they could have turned out and maybe the balance was all over the place and it's like heavy at the back and the tail's going down. But Zach looked at these things and makes sure, I said, where is the centre of gravity on this? He's able to tell me where that dart is balanced from the middle. So it's not just going, look, that's pretty, that's how it looks, put 2 holes in the end, send it off. He looks at where the centre of gravity is, how much they need to drill out to make sure that percentage of tungsten works, and all of those different elements. And they've turned up, and I'm looking into whether I can get a few made and whether I can get them out to people, but I don't have to be biased about it. It's not a product at the moment. It's just my darts. And I am saying that for me, they work absolutely beautifully. The areas that didn't work with previous darts have all been corrected. We've put all of those components together. It's balanced beautifully. It's well weighted. It's gripped. And for me, that's what I've done this week, is I've thrown my darts a lot and really, really enjoyed them. I haven't even done the video for them yet. I'll have to get that done at some point, but I've just enjoyed them, and that's it.
So anything in particular, like with a plan or anything? Were you playing 501? Were you, doing a bit of Bob's 27? Were you working on round the clock doubles? Was there anything you were particularly doing, or just literally having a throw?
Yeah, I did GDL. I did a cup match which I lost, which was my first game with the darts. And to be fair, I threw the same average as I've been throwing with the other ones, so I've got used to them quite quickly. And it's the same problem that I've had, which is my doubling. My scoring was really heavy. I was ahead in most of them. So this is what I've started to do for the end of this week, is do round the world doubles and really spending some time on focusing on that. It's an important game. I've also, not going to plug it too much, but I've got a game called Marker 88, which I have on my YouTube channel as well, which is trying to get me to practice putting one outside and then going into that double, because I've put too many on the inside and I really have punished myself massively. Double 5 has been an absolute nightmare for me. I've been going double 5 and I go on the inside, and that's another wasted dart preparing to get to another double. So I use the Marker 88 simply to be on the right side of the wire.
Fair enough. So you can't blame Zach for your GDL loss then, no?
No. I won my league game. I did a league game yesterday and I won that, and they're beautiful. I'm really happy with them.
That's good, mate. No, they look really cool.
The thing with it is I'll touch on what Marc was saying, is that I see a lot of posts where people are like, oh, got custom made darts, so didn't get on with them. The advantage where I think I have, and where coming to me is good. I'm not trying to advertise myself here.
Netflix, Edgar, Thornton darts, bloody the game that Marc's just mentioned, free of charge. If you want some plug in on this podcast, feel free, because we'll just do it anyway. I'm joking. Sorry, Zach.
And watch the interview. Not the interview. The video yesterday that you made about Merv King as well. Did we drop that one in? I think we did.
Of course. Someone
when you plug it,
come on.
I was saying is that the amount of people that say they don't go on with customers, because, like Marc said about the balance, they just don't understand it. The amount of people that come to me and they'll say, right, I want the exact same dart, but I want a 1 millimeter scallop put 20 mil along the dart. And I'm like, okay, you do realise you're going to lose about 2 grams off the dart here? And they go, oh, oh, and that's going to change where your balance point is. And whereas not everyone, when they get custom made darts, knows that.
Yeah. I didn't. If
like,
I'm honest, when Marc just said then about, I didn't realise you could do that in software. I thought that was just something that once you've designed it, it's sort of, you know, post it being designed, you just sort of know, like, oh, okay, because of how this has been designed. I didn't realise that's wicked. Yeah,
this is the things that I think where I become useful is because I can give people more of an insight. I mean, everyone likes to make their sketches. I mean, if people want to get darts made by just doing a sketch, that's fine. But the advantage I think of coming to me is that I can help people with this. I've experienced it myself. I've done a lot of darts now. Obviously, with the Loxley boys, I've had some in production that I've been able to test and learn from. And I think that's the advantage. And like I say, the amount of custom darts you see reselling is probably because they haven't understood the changes that they've added to the dart. They say, right, okay, put a scallop on the back, but then they've lost the balance point. That it's, you know, lighter. It feels like a completely different thing, and that's what I try and do with everyone that I work with, is just make sure that it doesn't feel like a different dart as such, where I can anyway.
If I'm honest, I didn't know really much about balance points. I mean, I've been throwing, we'll get onto this actual as a next sort of subject. My next subject was going to be, what are you guys throwing at the moment? But this goes in hand sort of thing. I didn't know until recently, where I actually got a set of Nathan Aspinalls, how, you know, the weight, where the weight is distributed makes any difference until I threw the Aspinalls. And, you know, they're a front weighted dart, and it completely changes the trajectory of like everything, how the dart enters the board, how it leaves your hand. And I didn't realise until I had them how important that is, you know. And to have that whilst you're designing, I can imagine that just being fantastic. It's almost, you know how they're going to throw even before you've got them, you know, which is
I mean,
awesome.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, because in my ideal scenario, what I'd love to be able to do is, I never say that I get it right first time for everyone. I mean, you see my videos on Aaron Beanie, on Matt Edgar. We don't get it right all the time first time. That's why people get prototypes. Obviously, when you've got custom darts, it's very hard to do that. But as much as I can, I try and give people a good estimation of roughly how these darts are going to feel. Are they going to feel the same as your old darts? Are you going to have to make them thicker to compensate for a loss of weight somewhere? Things like that. And it's just little details that I just think make a dart good. People say pick up a dart, never change. But if you throw in a certain way, like you said there, front weighted, that might suit your throw slightly better depending on how you throw. I mean, someone like, let me think of a player, JB Hughes, his darts sit real upright. If when he started his career, he happened to have a dart that was not as favoured towards a bit of front weighting, he might be a completely different player. He might have missed out on having the dart that maybe suited him slightly better. So I don't agree to an extent of the Peter Wright tinker all the time, but I do agree that when you're first maybe starting out, just try the basic range of shapes and grips and then work out roughly where you sit. So,
I've touched on this a few times as well. I don't know whether it was in videos or I think I did an interview with Atomic Darts, and I think we touched on it there. But I have quite a scientific approach to most things. For example, if I'm looking at buying a new TV, I do a lot of research into it. So I'll go, right, okay, what are the best 3 brands in the market? What's the price ranges? What can I afford? Can I get any, closer towards, try and get them to match effectively?
I'm like that as well, Marc, but it's called being tight.
Yeah, we know this.
You get that with darts, you know. You do get that with darts.
Huh?
You do get that with darts. There will be people that will say, I would physically not spend more than £20 on darts. I would not spend more than 25. And that's just the way people are. Like, you might not always get the best quality, but at the same time, there are darts just as good at £95 as there is at £15.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of darts.
I didn't start darts until I've been playing now for 5 years. And when I first started, I bought a lot of different things. And my favourite dart, the dart I was throwing, was a Phil Taylor dart. So it was a very, very bomb style. And But I still played around with straight barrels. I played around with a straight heavy, like a 25 gram Gary Anderson. I think it was the Phase 2, which had the 2 rings on it, or the Phase 3 that had 2 rings on it, sorry. And, it was a great dart. I thought it was one of the best straight barrel ring grip darts.
Agreed, yeah.
I then moved on to playing around with Adrian Lewis and Rob Cross darts, which I was like, these are really, I like straight barrels, but I'm not too sure whether I like having a high tail in the board, which is typically how they went, because I've been so used to having flat entry into the board with the Phil Taylors. But then I started to throw them more and more, and really liked having that open space. By having the tail up, I can actually throw right into it and clatter into it, as opposed to the stacking element, which it's a different feel. If I'm throwing something 24 grams or more, I want to be in a barrel, in a bomb shape. If I'm throwing 23 grams or lower, I want a straight barrel. It's weird, and some people go, I guarantee you can't tell the difference between 23 gram and 24. I guarantee you I can.
Yeah.
Once you've played around with enough darts, you can, some people can get really, really sensitive to these things. So my sweet spot is that 23 grams, and that's what we've gone with for these ones. And
I do think people get tied up with their weights, though. Like, for quite a while, I was throwing 23 grams, and then I was gifted a set from a chap that I used to work with him, and he moved to St. Lucia. He met a lady, and they just both emigrated over there. And he had a set of darts from, I believe, the mid to late 80s. Zach might be able to help me out with identifying them, actually. But I weighed them, and they were something like 18 gram. And I had a throw with them, and I thought, they're going to be way too light. And because I was so sort of stuck on the idea of, I only throw 23s, anything else is going to be so different. Like, I threw them, and they felt lovely, man. Honestly, they felt amazing. Yeah. They leave your hand differently, What I find with a lighter dart is you actually have to put some follow through into it. If you don't, then they're going to drop low. And I think I'm like that. Like, before, I would only throw 23 gram darts, and now I'm personally at the moment throwing the Aspinalls, which I'm really enjoying actually at the moment. I don't know whether it's the front weight, but they're actually a gram lighter than what I usually throw. And I think sometimes it is okay to be flexible with the weight that you throw. I don't know if you feel the same.
I've gone from a 20 gram to a 23. My match darts were 20 grams. Yeah. But this is the thing, is I was throwing a 20 gram Solo Generation 3 dart, Swiss point. Really loved the grip, and it felt so comfortable. It felt like this would be great if it was in 23 grams. The Lewis silica darts were 23 grams. So if I'm playing badly, I switch over to the Lewis, and I find that the weight was helping. So that's why it came to that combination of sort of having a similar sort of grip type as that, but then moving across to having the weight and stuff as well. So there's a few different elements. But like you say, I went over to Amsterdam and threw an 18 gram soft tip conversion Barney dart. I think it was the gold, silver and black iconic sort of Phase 5.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I threw that as a conversion tip dart, and I was absolutely smashing it. But my technique was so much better as well, because like you say, I think you have to put the effort in with the technique with the lighter dart.
Do.
So I kind of use it to get my technique in and then go to the heavier.
The lighter darts are easier to get wrong, I find. So you have to throw properly. I think this isn't strictly true, but I think part of Ryan's success is the weight of his darts, because heavier darts are a bit more forgiving. For example, the way I like to think of it is, if you've got something that's really light falling through the air and something that's quite heavy, if you get a bit of wind, that change of what those two things will do, the heavier thing will probably be less affected, and the lighter thing will, be more likely to blow away somewhere. That's how I sort of envision it. So those small changes.
So you reckon there's less margin for error with a lighter dart than there is a heavier dart?
No, I'd say there's more margin for error in a lighter dart. There's less. It's hard to explain, but I find that heavier darts are more forgiving with slight inconsistencies. That's my personal opinion. I don't have any data to back that up.
No, but it makes some sort of scientific sense, doesn't it? That would be the case in the example you've just given.
I wonder if you guys experienced this as well. I went through a phase a couple of years ago, especially, that come winter I'd throw a heavier dart because my hands are so cold. With heavier, I can feel what I've got in my hand, whereas the lighter, I don't, and I kind of it goes all over the place. But I
don't want to be the devil's advocate there, Mark, but I think that just might be your age, mate.
It could be my age, yeah. Thanks.
No, but that would make sense as
I'm
well.
I'm a teenager,
though, totally.
according to some people. I think Osti said that I'm a teenager, so...
But, like, joking aside, I think that makes some sort of sense as well, you know? When your hands are cold, you're more likely to feel something that's heavier.
Do you have any, like... God, what's the word?
Quirks?
Do you have? Yeah. Well, quirks. Those, you have Anderson, all sort of like he always touches the oche with his foot and then goes down. But do you have any like pre-match sort of things? Do you have a lucky pair of boxer shorts or anything you wear, or
just drink as much as possible, as quickly as possible before the game starts? I think sink as many pints as I can before I get on to calm the nerves a little bit. Joking, not really. I did in a live stream ages and ages ago. I believe another plug coming up, Matador Darts. This one for you, Curtis, mate. But no, Matador Darts done a video on why dart players use different flight colours, which was really interesting concept. It wasn't until I realised and sort of watched that video that I noticed players doing it. Yeah. And he said about that I think it was Ricky Evans using 2 different coloured flights for concentration, but I tried it with stems and I've sort of just kept that.
I mentioned the same with Matt Edgar. He does the same.
What he does the same as well.
He calls it mental distraction because when he looks at them, he notices that they're odd, and that's something to think about. And it's just a mental distraction from what's going on. If you're under pressure, you can look at these things and be distracted for a moment and not think about what you're. If you're in trouble in the leg, you just look down and go, oh, all right, blue, red, blue. Matt also says he likes to order them in his hand. So if he's took them out the board, he'll then reorder them in his hand, look at his flights, make sure they're straight, and then he's back throwing. Doesn't matter what they scored. He's just throwing now. So
that's the only one for me, Mark. I don't know whether Zach does anything weird.
I tend to shuffle into position. I'm very conscious about my stance these days. I only notice it. I don't have a solid oche at home, but as soon as I'm at the pub and there's a solid oche, I'm kicking it. I kick it a few times.
Yeah, make sure.
And then do a little shuffle to get in a position, and then I'm ready. That's probably my only sort of idiosyncrasy. Really.
I had a Super League player that I spoke to. I can't remember what his name was now, who plays around here. And he recommended to me that what he does, and I actually observed him doing this, when he walks to the oche, he doesn't look at his feet. He just is focused from as soon as he's the other player's taking a darts out of the board. As soon as he's walking towards the oche, he has his eyes on the board and he's not looking anywhere else. So he is actually, like Zach says, using his foot to guide where he is because he's just focusing dead on that triple 20. I've got to think what his name is, but he's a hell of a player. He plays Super League and he's fantastic around this sort of area. But he said that he does that for concentration, which is, I suppose that makes sense because you're forever looking at the target the whole time.
I've found that in a pub, if I can't approach it straight on, so I've got my opponent in front of me, they're throwing, I'm looking at what I want to throw at, and I then walk straight up to it, so I have that more purpose and definite sort of thing. That can sometimes wind me up, but other than that, really, and that doesn't bother me hugely. I'll still deal with it, but I've found that I'm more comfortable doing that. That's more a preferred approach, I think. But it can sometimes throw me slightly off because I'm used to seeing it, because I can get that kind of approach most of the time.
I hate wide open spaces because, for example, on the dev tour, everything's channeled, everything's now my darts room is quite channeled. It's just one room. When I then into one board on a massive wall, I'm sort of like, whoa, this feels so different. You're kind of gauging the space in the room a bit, and you're like, whoa, that's my only little, makes me feel a bit weird. Or too low ceilings. I hate that. Oh.
So what are you guys throwing at the moment? Because I know I touched on it earlier, but I'm throwing a set of the Generation 1 Nathan Aspinalls, because obviously he's got some new ones that are coming out soon. I don't know whether you guys can see. I might be a bit out of focus, but yeah, I'm throwing those with a set of Harrow's Lance. Are they Lance points, I think? The Lance?
Yeah.
I think they're Lance. And I've got a set of the old darts clearance stems, which are...
You said you got different
blue,
colours,
blue,
right?
and purple.
Nice.
What's that?
Like it?
Yeah, like I said, like similar to how in Matador's video. And then just to set the strong darts clearance pink flights. I've always used them flights and they've always been fantastic. I think you get 30 for about $1.99. So I've always used them because they're really like strong.
Yeah, they're very popular.
They are good. But what are you guys throwing? What are you throwing, Zach, at the moment?
Well, I am throwing prototypes of my own Loxley darts.
Not another plug, man. Come on. This is a joke. This isn't a podcast. This is
advertising. You asked me what I'm throwing, I'm telling you.
Should we change the show to plug in a bed?
Yeah, plug in a bed. That makes more sense. Nah, I'm only
keep that to yourself, Marc. What's in your bed, mate? So I'm throwing my own prototype darts. They're pretty much... I used to throw... My main dart is a Phil Taylor Phase 2 Unicorn dart. And
that's not a bomb, that's a straight barrel, right?
It's a straight barrel, and you can see him here anyway. It's basically just a straight barrel, standard sort of ring grip. And then towards the back end where I grip, I've actually put some very small cuts up the barrel.
Sick.
Obviously, I designed them myself. And just so when I twist them, I could twist them in my hand, and I know I'm in the right place.
That's a good idea.
If I twist it anywhere on the barrel... These aren't big enough to feel different on the actual grip. I can't feel any added push or anything like that. But when I twist my fingers, I know I'm in the right place.
That's good. So rather than having to cut away weight by having a scallop in there, you've just developed something that's basically an add-on as such.
A very, very small little feature just to help me. Because sometimes with straight barrels that are very uniform, it's so hard to remember that exact position. That's usually the advantage of a scallop. And... and then I've just got some easy L-style flights on there.
Awesome.
Love L-style. I've been throwing with those. Well, in all honesty, for ages I've just been using the Loxley stuff because obviously they help me out with equipment. And to be honest, L-style are a bit expensive, but it's been my birthday recently and people bought me some. So,
was that your girlfriend?
It wasn't. It was her aunt and her sister, actually. I've got two sets.
That's good, though. Decent.
Good presents, yeah.
And I've just stuck some normal Loxley intermediate stems on. So.
Nice. Are they available to purchase soon, Zach? You might as well plug them as well.
Not yet. We're actually working on they're black coated at the minute, but we're thinking about making them plain silver with the colours, and then possibly having another weight, so they're a bit more affordable that way as well. So.
No, make them black with gold rings like your logo. They'll sell. Love it.
Yeah, but there's that pros and cons of I don't want to be charging people too much for my own darts. I think it would feel partly wrong, but I also want them to be, relevant to how much they cost to make at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
True,
that's cool.
True.
What about you, Marky boy? I wonder what you're throwing. What are you throwing?
And this is the first time actually. So when we talked about those the 3 different flights, I've not ever thrown 3 different flights before, but because of like the Love Darts branding with being the red, white, and black, I decided to go with it. And I've got some champagne caps. They didn't have a white cap, so I've put a silver cap on that one. But once again, L style. They've got a gradient sort of grey going into a red for the stems, which I've not seen before. I think they're new this year for L style.
That's cool. They look wicked.
And yeah, they're my darts, and I've just repointed them to finish them off finally with some fire edge points, which are weird. Has anyone thrown the fire edge points? They're like,
I love them,
but they've got like 3. It's not like a circular point.
It's like a triangular
3
point,
flat edges to it with having the grip there. So it goes into the board really well. I'm super happy, and that's what I'm throwing.
I do like the look of the L styles. Like, I've got a set. I've been bought a set, and I'm meaning to do a video on them. Johnny Cree just out of the blue, really, really kind of him, just designed me a set of L style flights, and I reckon I've had him at least 2 months, and I've not even tried them because I wanted to specifically use them on a video, and I've just not had the chance. But they look awesome as well. Like, just all the L style stuff. Like I said, I know it's a bit pricey, but it's going to save you buying loads of sets, really, isn't it?
Depending on what your darts are, they last pretty well. The thing for me is mainly it's not even the flights, it's the stems. Because the champagne ring system, I think I've Robin Hooded one of the easy ones, but very flukily. But I've never had to ever buy another L-style stem, ever.
And that's one of the things you think. So the carbons are really expensive. They're like, I don't know, like 10, 15 quid or something crazy. And you're thinking,
never broke
for 3 stems, are you joking? But you won't need, they'll run you a whole year and they'll probably only look a tiny bit scuffed. They really do last. But like that, I mean, I'm a little bit different with the L-Style. I really like the Dimplex ones. The Dimplex ones almost feel like they're made of that banding material that you get around big, like you get a big cardboard box and you have those white bands that go around it.
Yeah.
And you can't for the life of you tear them, but you can cut them. It kind of feels like it's made of that. So, you know, I've been absolutely battering these and you know, there's a tiny bit of wear on the top, but no Robin Hoods, and the wear, that will go for like 3 months probably before I even look at changing it again. Really impressive, but pricey.
So tweet of the week this week is going to have to go to Congrel. I don't know whether you guys have seen it, but it's this screenshot of Michael from the World Champs. It's not Michael, it's the silly people doing his tweets. Meanwhile, MVG sat doing his own tweets like this. And it's that face from the World Championship where I think they were playing Holland, weren't they? I think Holland were playing
England,
weren't they?
Yeah.
And didn't Barney win a leg or something against, was it AD Lewis maybe? I'm not too sure, but it's funny. It's funny anyway. It's just funny, Michael Van Gogh's face. Bit of a shame he got dumped out from the Masters, but I don't know. Where was his new dance as well?
I read about this, is that funny enough today, maybe that'll be one of my tweets. I might do 2 if that's all right. He was using darts at home and then he played with his old classics, which I think is a bit of a boo-boo, really, in all honesty. When you throw with another set of darts and then go back, it just doesn't quite feel the same. No. He grew into them as the game went, but I felt like if he either should have made the decision to stick with them till a certain point, maybe after the Masters, because then the next thing would be UK Open potentially, or the winter.
Because I saw a tweet from
series.
Lee Huxtable saying that MVG was landing all 6 of these darts in the treble for fun at Winmore headquarters, but those weren't the darts he was throwing. He was throwing the old McKicks, I think.
Yeah, he was throwing the old ones.
And they were like atomised. They're like black.
Yeah, I quite liked them, and I'm not a big fan of the MVG darts. A little bit too long for me, but I like the look of them, and sometimes that sways me to just buy them and try them. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there is quite a few sets of his out now, isn't there?
There's a lot of new ones. Vantage. Well, the thing with it is the way they brand it is there's a lot of darts out there that players don't use but have their name attached. A lot of players do it. It's, to be fair, they started off as Marco Van Gogh and designed these with us. Did he? I don't know.
Nah.
But they're obviously influenced by his darts. I mean, for example, the ones I did like were the start, where it was the absolute, the authentic, and the
adrenaline.
I forget. Adrenaline. They
were my favourite. Yeah, I liked
because obviously I was there at the launch, and they were. The good thing about them was they were all like his darts, just with different grips in those. I did a video about Van Gogh and Chizzy darts mixed together, and the key points about Van Gogh's darts is that rear grip and the front grip, and that separation between the two. That's iconic. Whereas some of the MVG design darts, they're nothing like Van Gogh's darts. And I know people want to collect anything with his name on, but there's a lot of players that are like, I will only buy what he's throwing because I want to be like him.
Yeah, which in a way is fair enough, isn't it? Really?
I've got a shout out for Tweet of the Week for a slightly different reason. So Osty put out a post where he'd been trolled by someone on I think it was Instagram or something, and Osty, guys, is a supporter, and he has he's been helping out with Matt Edgar's and the Darts Refs videos and doing some moderation on their streams and stuff like that. Really, he's a lovely young lad, really into his darts, and he put a post up because someone had been giving him some stick, and the support that he got was amazing, and it just reiterates the wonderful community that we have. You know, you still got a few people going, I'm going to go over there and give him a piece of my mind. I said, look, don't do it. You know, don't retaliate with hate. Let's just show him support, so that actually what it shows people to do is to go, look, you know, as an actor, I know that not everyone's going to like me. You know, some will, some won't.
Even if you want
as soon as you understand that you can't appeal to everyone, you know, you get that mindset of going, right, as long as more people like me than less, I'm quite happy. So I had a little chat with him, and, you know, the posts that went out there were brilliant, and he's recovered fine from it. And for me, that's my tweet of the week, just for a, you know, I love all the fun stuff. It's brilliant, but
the thing with that is, it is enough when you do get trolled and stuff, people that, you know, he's a young lad at the end of the day, that could put him off social media. You know, it could technically put him off something that he loves to do. You know, he's always tweeting, he's always on YouTube, stuff like that, and hate is enough, especially with a fragile mind at being that age. It's like, you know, it can affect people, and he could have just said, right, that's it, I'm getting rid of all my socials, can't deal with this. But because everyone came together, you know, it's obviously not affected him, which is good.
That's Twitter. You know, they'll have a joke when they need, but if you're ever having issues, there's always someone that will message you just to make sure you're all right.
What I thought was really good that he posted the picture of the conversation on there, so it's like, you know, look, this is what this person said, and I quite like that, because he could have kept it inside, just been really, really down and not done anything. No, sod it, put it up. You know, we saw it, and, you know, if you're going to troll and be, you know, be immature, and you've got nothing better to do with your life than make other people feel bad about theirs, then fine, we'll, you know, put it on there, and we'll show the support from our community, because at the end of the day, we want people doing nice, having fun, and enjoying the darts and each other.
When you do YouTube, you do obviously expect to get a little bit back, you know, like that video I done about Mervyn King. It's going to be people that love Mervyn King and just think I was talking absolute bollocks, but, you know, like, there is people that genuinely don't agree with you and probably don't like you. There's loads of people saying that I was really boring and fell asleep by the end of the beginning of the video, so they disliked it. At the end of the day, dislike it, that's fine, you know. I'm not here for everyone to like me. And when you're on YouTube and you do make videos, you have that in the back of your mind anyway. There's going to be people out there that try and bring you down, and it's like, just ignore them. The way that I look at it is, if there's 100 people that like your video, there's 3 that don't. Focus on them people, man. Focus on the 100 people that obviously do enjoy and like your content, and the people that do speak to you on a daily basis. It's amazing.
At the end of the day,
really
people are all different. They're all different. And if you try and create an algorithm and go, right, okay, this is what I need to do to make sure that the most people like me, everyone will be the same. It's boring. I want to see characters. It's in the same as Gerwin Price, you know. Some people love him, hate him, but he's entertaining. He's a character. He'll say what he feels. Dirk van Duivenbode, he's up there. He's like, I've just had the best time. I've thrown brilliant. You know, he'll give you it. That's what I want. I want personality. I want people. I want to enjoy the sport that's so real. You're there. You're living it. You're breathing it. You're having a good time with your friends. You're celebrating. That's what I want. I don't want people coming out. You know, I like Lewis Hamilton. I was a big Schumacher fan, but Lewis Hamilton sometimes goes a little bit too commercial. Like, I'd like to thank the team and this, that, and the other. No, say that so and so. You know, Kimi Räikkönen. They say, right, Kimi, how was you know? Did you watch Pele? He was up on the stadium, up on the podium, giving a great speech. No, I was taking a shit.
Yeah, just
you know, just great, a real character. That's what he wanted to say. That's what he said.
My tweet of the week, which has just made me baffled. It's from Darts Anonymous. He's a bit controversial at times. No one knows who he is. Apparently I met him, but I still don't know who it is. I had the development tour. I met a load of people that obviously know me from Twitter and stuff. I was like, all right. And then all of a sudden I get a tweet from him said, just met this person, lovely chap. I was like, what?
Mental.
Anyway,
creepy. Ooh.
He put a tweet that on Peter Wright's official website, on anything that's selling something like a shirt, his arms are scribbled out. And it's so bizarre. His arms are scribbled out on the tweets.
What's this actually on? Is this on his website?
This is on his official,
official
Peter Wright website. Yeah.
No way.
Like, I'll go on to another one here. I'll see on my screen share. This blue, this red and yellow polo top. Arms are scribbled out. And it's just weird. I don't know whether it's because it's tattoos or whether it's because...
we don't sell these tattoos. They're not included.
Yeah.
In this photo, for example, he's got a sleeve on.
It's something where people have a negative view of tattoos, but he literally plays on telly, so I don't know why that would be.
I mean, look, it's every single photo.
They're on every single one, aren't they? Wow.
Yeah, look. I just don't...
That is mental.
I don't get it. But then up here, he's got a picture of him with the trophy, and it only seems to be things that are selling stuff.
Do you think Do you think
quite
that
odd.
his arms are too boring compared to all the rest, so they just jazzed it up a bit?
Yeah, but if that was the case, I would have scribbled out his face as well, surely.
Oh, here we go.
No, I don't
Merv
mean,
King,
I don't mean that in an
Merv King
offensive
is going to
way.
hate you
No,
now.
see,
Peter
look,
Wright.
this is how you can twist and turn things on the internet, isn't it? What an absolute joke. What was meaning, if you're showing skin, then surely if you're only trying to sell the product, then why would you not do the arms and the face? Like, surely that doesn't make any... But
it was
why
just...
didn't they colour out the trophy on there? Is that included when you buy the shirt? You know what I mean?
It was just a very odd thing that you wouldn't notice unless you were going to buy a shirt, but you just think, why? What is it with that? Maybe that's something that
I don't know.
he'll mention.
It seems
one
weird
day,
that they haven't gone to the effort of photoshopping it as well, if it is the tattoo problem. Do you know what I mean? Because that could be quite easily rectified, couldn't it?
I thought initially it was the sleeves, because he throws a sleeve sometimes, and obviously they might not sell the sleeves. They didn't want people to think it was long sleeve shirt, but then
It's got to be a copyright thing or something. Has he got something on? Do you know what the tattoos are?
I don't know. It could
Because
be
that could be it.
I've watched a thing called Ink Master. It's like a tattoo program, and there'll be people very religious people that won't tattoo things like gargoyles or demons because of their religion. So maybe it's a religious reason. I don't know. I don't know what his tattoos are off the top of my head. So.
Look, again, there's another plug for Peter Wright's website as well. So Peter Wright, if you are watching this, please let us know why, because we'd love to know. You know, that's bizarre. That's a crazy one. That I'm pretty. Don't have a clue. But yeah, them tweet of the weeks were pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with them. So cool. Right, I think that's it, guys. So we're going to wrap it up there. But thank you very much for joining us for the first time on the 3 in a Bed podcast. We can confirm that it will be on Marc's channel on Love Darts. Just make sure that you do like, subscribe if you did like the podcast today. And we'll all see you in the next one. See you later.
Cheers, guys.